Hey, what's up everyone, Ollie here. So in this video, I wanted to cover 5 things that I've learned in my 20s. 5 sort of skills that I think have made a big difference in my life, that I think have really transformed me and getting me to the position where I am right now. I also wanted to ask you guys to subscribe to my newsletter if you guys are interested. I share sort of thoughts, experiences, anything else I find interesting. I also share links to other things that I found interesting over the last month. So make sure to check it out. Subscribe if you're interested. So the first thing is financial literacy. So this is something I feel like they should just teach you at school. It's something that a lot of people don't seem to take into account, don't seem to learn, which is such a shame because, people end up creating sort of bad money habits. I knew from a young age that money, is an important aspect of everything around you. Of course it is, to live, to work, whatever, to enjoy yourself, you need some money. You need money to live on this planet. That's just how the world works right now. I realized that, it was just so important that I don't waste the money that I do have. And I knew that from a young age, not having much money, growing up in a family where we didn't have much money, I have to value it. I have to make sure that I make the most of it. So, one of the most important things I learned was just saving as much as I could. Obviously, not saving to the point where it has a detrimental impact on my life, but saving for things like buying a house. I knew that if I wanted to buy a house at some point, I need to start saving. I realized that in my 20s. I wish I realized it earlier. Budgeting, again, working out how much money I actually should be spending per month and not trying to go over it. I don't actually budget as much as I used to now, mainly because, I'm pretty all right. I'm pretty comfortable now, so I don't need to be properly strict on my budget. But I do still try to sort of have a figure in my head, and I do still think to myself, maybe I should only go out for like 1 meal or 2 meals a month, or rather than going out for like 5-6 meals a month. Living well below my means. Even though I can afford much more than I already have, I can probably afford a bigger house, I can afford a nicer car, I can afford nicer things. I don't need it. I just don't need it. It's more kind of just, it's luxury at the end of the day. Having a big house is just luxury for me. The house that I'm in right now, to me, is a mansion, basically. It's 1,200 square feet, so it's quite mid-size, I'd say. I know that if I really wanted to, I could probably move to a bigger house. But I know that living below my means, knowing that I can comfortably afford the mortgage, comfortably afford the bills, is much more comfortable for me, much more important for me. Having an emergency fund as well. I know that, say my YouTube channel died, everything got deleted, all of my income just stopped today. I know that I have enough money in my emergency fund to last me 12, 24 months, sort of somewhere around there, which I think is pretty good. I think I'm lucky to have an emergency fund like that. Not everyone can have the same sort of emergency fund, but I knew how important it was because there have been times, especially when I used to do client work, where I could go months without any client work. So I knew that I couldn't spend all my money at once. I had to manage it and make sure it lasts me for however many months, just in case I don't get any work. Investing my money into appreciating assets. So this is again something I feel like I've only learned the last few years really, is that putting my money into things like assets that go up in value, for example, a house or a watch or just stocks, shares, things like that. Even artwork is a good one, but artwork I feel like is for the ultra rich. I'm not at that level yet where I can invest in artwork, but yeah, just putting my money into things that go up in value rather than just having my money sitting in the bank. And also, will this thing add value to my life or will it make me more money? Little things can add value to your life. So for example, I think to myself, I like gaming. I enjoy gaming. It's my way of sort of downtime. It's my way of, going away from work and spending, say, $60 on a game, knowing that I can get literally hundreds of hours out of it. For me, that is quite valuable. For me, that adds value to my life because I'm focusing on something. I'm socializing with friends when I play games, and it's quite a small expense really for how many hours of enjoyment I get out of that. It doesn't make me money or anything, but I know that, spending that amount of money to me isn't a big deal, and I do get a lot of hours of enjoyment out of it. Building relationships. So I think this is a big thing that people don't seem to understand that much because they always think it's like a me versus you sort of thing, when it really isn't. It really can be a sort of we all bring each other up together. Being friends with anyone and everyone, building relationships with anyone and everyone, you can all work together to build yourselves up. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the phrase of surround yourself with people who are, striving to be better and stuff. It can sound a bit cringy, but I can see why people say it, because it's somewhat true. Surrounding yourself with people who care about you, who want to help you, and you want to help them. You're all building each other up. You can help each other out for anything and everything. It's really important, and it's one of the most important things that I've learned in my 20s, especially from doing YouTube, especially from making stuff on the internet. Being friends with other sort of internet people has helped me get into positions, has helped me do things that maybe otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do. It is pretty much networking. And when people say it's not what you know, it's who you know, that does somewhat apply. I mean, obviously you still have to know something, otherwise you're not providing value to the other person in the relationship. But I feel like it's just such a good feeling when you can help someone out and they can help you out, and knowing that they know something that maybe you don't know, or you know something that they don't know. Yeah, it's just a really good feeling. Learning code. So I genuinely think I wouldn't actually be here. I wouldn't be making videos. I wouldn't have any online businesses if I hadn't have learned how to code. So I wouldn't say I'm an actual developer. Like I'm definitely not a proper coder, but I learned HTML and CSS because I wanted to customize my blog. I wanted to customize my website. But then I realized that HTML and CSS is pretty much everywhere. Like just understanding HTML and CSS can help you understand lots of other coding languages, help you understand how it works, help you understand, just anything to do with computers. I feel like learning code has made such a big difference in my life. My coding skills actually transferred to me making Tumblr themes. And those Tumblr themes, as I've said before, have made me over $650,000 now, which is just incredible, because when I was making money from those Tumblr themes, it really sort of transformed my life. It was a big factor in transforming my life, sort of going from just earning quite little money to earning big money and really being quite comfortable in life. So yeah, I feel like it's just totally transformed the way I work. Now, I'm not saying that you should learn code and then start making stuff with code, or like getting a job because you've learned code. I think it's just something that's sort of should be like an essential skill. Just like learning Microsoft Excel, learning how to do formulas in Microsoft Excel is so beneficial. Learning how to use Microsoft Excel. You don't have to be an expert in it, because some of the stuff that you can do with Microsoft Excel, some of the expert stuff that I've seen is just insane. But just having that sort of base knowledge can really help you in just everyday sort of life when it comes to working with computers or working on a computer or whatever else. Not caring about what other people think. So in my teens, I did used to get upset when people used to say things about me, or maybe say racist remarks or whatever else. Naturally, as a teenager, you don't really know how to handle those emotions. You're growing up, you just don't have the experience of handling emotions, handling those sorts of things. Now that I'm in my 20s, I just don't care as much what people think. I know everyone cares a little bit about what people might think about you, especially because, for example, the way I dress and stuff, if I really didn't care what people thought about me, I'd probably just be sitting topless in front of the camera because I just wouldn't care. But that's just a bit weird, right? Because naturally I do care what people think about me in that sort of way. I do care about the image that I portray. But I think it's more of just like, for example, making YouTube videos, putting your face on camera, making something and putting it out online, doing something and not really caring about what other people think. Of course, you don't also want to take it too far where you end up hurting people or doing something silly that just causes a nuisance. But I think it just can really help you do stuff that maybe otherwise you wouldn't have thought of doing before. People's opinions, you can't control people's opinions. People are going to think about whatever they're going to think about. That's something that you can't control. And that's something I've realized. As long as I'm not hurting anyone or being an arsehole, of course, I should just be able to do whatever I want. Delayed gratification. So learning to use and adapt gratification in your life can be one of the most rewarding things ever. Like, it's just unreal what a good feeling it is to delay gratification. I think humans in general are just very impulsive. It's sort of in our nature. I mean, it makes sense, millions of years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, we don't know when the next meal is going to be. So you just eat what's in front of you quite impulsively because you just don't know what's going to come next. But now that obviously we live in much more modern times, much more modern era, I feel like you can definitely take your time to think about things, because when something comes into our head, we just want it right there and then, whether it be like a sugary drink or some sort of fast food or whatever, or an expensive item of like designer clothing. We think to ourselves, I want it right now. But I found myself just stepping back and thinking to myself, why do I want this? How will it benefit me? And are there any sort of long-term bad implications with it? So for example, sugary drinks or like just unhealthy food in general. I like my unhealthy food. I love KFC and McDonald's. I love that sort of stuff. But I can't have that every day because that would be absolutely ridiculous. Like, because right now I might be fine when I have it, but in 20, 30 years, 40 years, I might end up having all sorts of heart problems, heart disease or whatever else. So I know that I have to limit that sort of thing. I know that I can't impulsively just have it. I know that eating properly and staying in shape will just genuinely benefit me a lot more later in life. You know, I won't feel unhealthy. I won't feel like I'm dying all the time. I've just found it so important in so many aspects of my life. Another example is I could have moved out of my parents' house quite early on and just gone and rented a place. No problem. I could have afforded the rent. Wouldn't have been an issue. But I knew that I wanted to buy a home. I wanted to have a place that I could call my own, a place that I knew where I would stay for at least 5 years. I also wanted to invest my money into something rather than sort of just spending it on rent. Now, there's nothing wrong with renting if you're someone who plans to move around a lot, but I knew that I didn't want to move around a lot. I knew that I wanted to have one place and I wanted to stay there for at least like 5 years. So I stayed with my parents for as long as I could, saved as much money as I could, and then once I had enough money, that's when I moved out and bought my own place. And it's been well worth it because ever since I've bought this house, it's gone up 30% in value since I bought it 4 years ago, 5 years ago, which is just insane, crazy. And at the same time, it's my own place. It's the way I want it. It's how I want it. And no one can tell me otherwise, you know. It's just such a great feeling. I know that at the end of the day, there's not a landlord telling me, oh, you know, you need to move out. I'm selling the property, or I'm having another tenant come in, or I'm raising the prices of the rent. I am much more in control of my situation, and I'm really happy with it. The idea is that you take a long-term reward over immediate gratification. It just makes a lot of sense in so many different situations. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said earlier in the video, subscribe to my newsletter. I'm always sharing interesting, well, I hope it's interesting stuff in there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.